Yes.
Welcome back to another episode of Elevated Dialogue here on the Uncle Junior Network. I am the Uncle Junior, and today with us on the panel, we have none other than Mr. Victor Viziant. We have Mr. Dwayne Dwyer, the mindset coach, and Roland from down the street. Hope everybody is doing well today, gentlemen. How are you?
Blessed.
Doing well, doing well. Frozen
Great.
in.
Good to hear,
Yep.
man. What's
Solid.
that? Solid as a
Solid
rock.
in the house. Yep.
Hey, I like to hear it, man. Hey, I want to thank everybody who is watching the show right now. Got an extra second, hit like, subscribe, and do all of those things. Shout out to the chat already. They already over there getting busy. Already been looking at some comments. So everybody who is in the chat, welcome. Thank you for being here. And we're about to start the show. We're not going to waste a whole bunch of time doing anything. We're about to get into the fourth part of this four-part series on different parts of relationships. And today, what we're going to be focused on is how can I maintain a strong, healthy relationship over time. Um, the men you see here, we have all been in long-term relationships at some point, at some time, either currently or in the past. So we have some experience. Um, and hopefully today we can give you guys a good show and all of this good stuff like that. So, gentlemen, first question is already on the table. Where is it at? Oh, there it is, right at the bottom. So, what are some common challenges that may arise in a long-term relationship? You can start wherever you want and with whoever.
I think we beat communication to sleep the last, 3 episodes. I think we get that. I definitely think probably long-term goals, if they have been established, if you're still in line with them, because sometimes you can get complacent in your relationship. So um, I guess taking things for granted, I think complacency is the biggest thing.
I like that. I like the complacency because sometimes when you're in a relationship and you get used to someone, it's easy to overlook them. It's easy to just say, well, I just thought you knew. Or, when you would normally tell somebody else, it's like fresh on your mind. Like, it's whether it's a thank you, whether it's a just overlooking your partner, because it's when somebody's there day in day out, you become used to it, and sometimes you will get so used to it that it's like, okay, well, they gonna be there, so I don't need to say thank you. I don't need to tell them that they're beautiful. I don't need to still be chivalrous and everything. I open the car. Get them chirp girls. Like, I teach
Chirp
my
girl.
daughters, don't, yeah, you choo choo, and they open the door for themselves. I tell my daughter, hey, Negro, open it. Hey, do that. You stand there. If he don't open the door, he don't need you. It's still, I can be mad at mine. I'm gonna still open that door. I'm gonna still make sure she good. You know,
Chivalry ain't dead in your house.
not at all. Even, and I'm not perfect by any means. I'm me. I gotta live with me sometimes too. But when it comes to certain things that where a man is supposed to be a gentleman, that's I always try to keep that up, mad or not.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. I can just go all day on this one.
Let's do it. Let's go all day.
So I like what everybody's saying about complacency, because I believe complacency is definitely a relationship diluter, if you will. If that's the word, I just made that up. Um, but I will also say, because I talk about, parents need to understand when their children hit those transition points, and they got to be flexible and understand where the ebbs and flow of that happen. I think the same thing happens in relationships as well, right? I think we need to understand when we hit transition points and we need to pivot, which means that, like Vic said, we beat the communication piece up. But again, we got to make sure that we're consistently communicating so that we can understand where those pivot points are. And then how can we capitalize on those pivot points as a unit? So that's another piece, making sure that the relationship maintains the team cohesiveness within that as well, because it's too easy, like these gentlemen just said, it's too easy for complacency to set in and then default back to my mindset of self, like what I can do and how I can do this and so forth and so on. And then I'm gonna sprinkle a little something on what Roland said, right? We understanding what chivalry looks like. Like, so I'm gonna be honest with you. If you with me, I'm not opening your car though. Like, you get in the car because I'm driving. So I'm not gonna walk all around there, open your car door just so you can get in, then walk back around, open my car door again, so I can drive. No, get in the car. You know what I'm saying? Now, when we go in the establishment all day long, don't you touch that door. I got this. You know what I'm saying? Now,
You do it for looks.
no, 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 no. But here's the thing. I also believe that if we're going to a formal, that's a whole different ballgame, because you're in your evening gown, you got your heels on, all that good stuff. I'm gonna come around now. I'm gonna open the car door and make sure that you get in the car. But if we go into the corner store and you got sweats on and some sneakers, hop you behind the passenger seat, man. We about to ride out.
See, when I do it, I'm conscious that I got to do it, that I'm going to do it. So I park in a way where when we come out, her door is first. So I don't have to walk around and back and forth and everything like that.
Very smart.
So,
Very smart.
I'm just conscious of that.
Hey, when I get there, I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna put that in practice.
Yeah.
Hey, I open
People
the
don't
door.
really. Hey man, it's
I
logistics
open
in
the door
being
every
chivalry.
time.
It's logistics
Mad
in
and
being
all.
chivalry.
Go ahead, Vic.
I said it's logistics involved in being chivalrous. You know what I'm saying? Like Roland had a whole plan.
Yeah.
First door, so he can prompt himself.
Yeah.
And that's definitely part of it. And that goes like in a larger piece of the complacency piece too, man. Because you could treat it every day. You can't let her walk around in the heels and then opening up her own door and everything, and she with you. So I feel what you're saying on that, coach.
Hey, Leah said she opened her own door. She said she ain't got time to wait for the door to be open for her.
See what I'm saying?
So what
She
y'all
wouldn't have
think?
a
Chris,
time.
what
She
you
wouldn't.
think, Chris?
Shout out to Liz. That's what's
Chris, you
happening.
opening the door or what? Chris, first of all, welcome to the show. Are you opening the door or is she walking around?
Greetings, fellas. How y'all doing?
What's up, brother? Good to see you.
um, I have a whole philosophy behind that.
Hmm.
Okay.
Three things women never do around me. Women never touch a door handle, a gas pump, or a garbage bag. That's just me. But the whole door thing there's a philosophy behind that. Don't touch my door handle. Just don't. I let you in my car and I let you out of my car because, and maybe this is because of some of the things that I went through and how I was treated in previous relationships. But I see it like this: if you willy-nilly touch the door handle to my home or to my car and let yourself in and out, then that may translate into you thinking that you can put your hand and open the door and let yourself in and out of my life. No, I let you in my car and I let you out of my car, just like I let you in my life and I will open the door for you to leave if you wish to. But do not touch my door handle. That's just my philosophy. It's that's just me.
Mm-hmm. Man, he thought about that one.
Yeah, you did.
Hey man,
Absolutely.
that's his basketball goal in the street.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Everybody got a basketball goal in the street somewhere.
That's it.
I'm saying I'm see and this is what I wish our reflection understood. Like how much stuff we have to think about just to even interact with them that they don't even consider. You understand what I'm saying? Like I wish that they could hear and see this side of it so that way they know that us interacting with them, one, it's a lot of work because we have to do a lot of thinking.
Yeah.
And two, we open ourselves up to rejection, which is something that a lot of women aren't used to doing on a regular basis.
Hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? I really wish women understood.
You went mute, Chris.
Went out, man. You got to come back. Yeah, we can't hear you, Chris.
Oh man,
You need to fix
Hey.
that, bro. Cause we need to hear what else you had to say.
yeah, he back. You really wish.
He say, "I wish it." No,
Now you
Hey,
muted,
man,
bro.
he
Now
was
you
about to,
muted.
he was about to crack something open just then. It was too powerful for the airway.
well,
No, talk. I think
There
he's,
you
I think
go.
he's good now.
I'm
if
good.
you said, "Oh Lord,"
Yeah,
there
you
you go.
good.
Yeah.
And somebody said,
Okay.
"Okay, where is Antoine?"
Quick, Antoine will be on later. He'll be
Hey,
back. He running a little
hey.
late. He'll be back. He'll be here.
That's like say Candyman. Say it 3 times. He'll pop up.
He'll
Speaking of
come here
which,
in a minute. Coach.
speaking of which, did y'all know? Don't do that, man. I have nightmares. Hey, did y'all know that Jerry Springer is now a judge now?
He been a
Yes,
judge.
he's a magistrate.
I
What?
didn't know that. He has a
Yeah.
TV show called Coach Jerry. I thought that
Yeah.
was rather interesting. Y'all should mention Antoine. I
Uh,
thought about Jerry Springer. I'm
He
sorry.
was a
Oh,
mayor or
Lord.
something. Mayor of Cincinnati.
I know he
Dr.
was.
Phil going off the air.
What?
Dr. Phil going off the air in September.
You watch
Oh,
Man.
shoot.
No, I just seen it come across the TV today.
You sound a little upset, like that just
No,
broke
I
your
just
little
said
heart.
it because of your TikTok
I was just
handle.
about to say he said that because you got to change your TikTok name now.
I can keep
Oh,
it
shit.
now.
Yeah, there you go. You can keep it now.
But back on track.
Yeah,
I
where
think,
was we at?
well,
Counter
another,
challenges.
right. Another thing that
Come on
that
back.
that I think when it comes to relationships, I think when like me, I'm at a stage where and I'm almost there, where you become empty nesters. Long-term relationships, you done had these kids all of these years. Kids done went to school, came back, went away, got their apartments and all this other stuff. And now they come back to raid your refrigerator, raid your pantry, and all this other stuff. But now you got to talk to your significant other about more than just the kids. It's like, okay, we sitting here, what we do? Because the kid's grown, the kid's good. Now, what do we talk about? Now, I got to learn you all over because before, everything that stimulated you came from making sure them kids were good.
And see, for me, I think the challenge stemmed before that. And that challenge is learning how to keep that going while the kids are in the house so that when they leave, you don't have to make that type of transition. And that's one of the things when I was married, that's one of the things I used to share with my wife. Like, look, you focus all your time, energy, and efforts on these kids, which I'm okay with, but it has to be some me and you time. Like,
Right.
let's go do some, let's go do what's on Friday nights or whatever. Because just like you said, when those kids leave, now it's like, what do we do? You know what I'm saying? What's on TV? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? You're in one room watching something machine, another room watching something else. So I think the challenge is making sure that you plan for that before it actually happens.
Yeah. And also,
It's
I agree
interesting
with
that
that.
you
Go ahead.
hit on that specific part about the kids because there's a lot of entertainment that's starting to have shows that are based off, everything that Roland was describing and the kids growing up and leaving the house, and then couples having to find, that connection again and figure out, well, what did they have before? Because you got a whole different person. You got to be somebody else to take care of other people sometimes. And if you don't maintain that connectivity, yeah, you definitely gonna have a tough time trying to reconnect with your significant other.
Yeah.
Gotta
Even
have an
like probably
activity.
planning trips. Like you think about it when you got kids, you
Yeah,
planning trips around certain days when the kids out of school, you know what I mean? Different things like that. Now, like you ain't got to plan around those things, you know. And I think one of the challenges or some of the challenges can be the evolution in the people or the growth in the people over time. When you with somebody like I was married for 19 years, the person I married at 19, you know, at 20 was not the same person that I divorced 19 years later. Like we were both two totally different people. Like we had evolved so much from being those young kids into adults and having different experiences and living different places that, you know, we wasn't even the same people. Like what? Like I can't believe that we used to do that or we didn't used to do this. And like now it's just like you get to the point where like you know what I'm saying? Like you
Hmm.
coach divorce, so he get me.
Well, I
Yeah.
think a lot of that comes from when
Chris.
when 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 men are trying to get with women. I mean, this is a grown up show. We trying to
Yep.
get in their pants, pretty much.
Yeah.
We start off with the initial thought, man, I want to get to know you. Sound good, but you want to get to know her in the biblical sense also. So a lot of times, especially when you're 19, 20, you're young in a relationship, you trying to get to know her in that vein. So now when you get older, it's like, okay, that don't stimulate her no more. You just trying to get on her and pounce her. You know, that ain't where she trying to go. She, you know, so you gotta always be evolving. I think somebody Vic talked about evolution. You gotta always be evolving in your relationship, not when milestones happen. Because when milestones happen, it's almost too late.
Well, so in that to that point, so I'm liking the fact that you guys bring it. I'm bringing the whole idea of growth to the conversation because you're right, Vic. I think you grow one of two ways. You're going to grow through evolution, or you're going to grow intentionally. That's it. Right? Life is either going to force you to grow, or you're going to grow on your own because you made the decision to grow. But I don't know about you guys, but nobody ever talked to me when I was younger about being intentional about growth with your partner, so you two can grow together. We were all raised with the old saying that a family that prays together stays together, right? But I kind of changed that saying up over the years that a family that sows together grows together. So what are you sowing into each other? How often do you sit down and talk specifically about certain things? One of the things I used to do, and I've always said that if I progress to that stage again, that one of the things that I am intentional about doing, because I wake up 4:30 every morning and I'm reading something. Either I'm reading the Bible, I'm reading something that supports biblical principles or whatever that case may be. So in the mornings, if I go down that path again, then one of the things that must happen is that we have to have honest conversation about a biblical principle every morning, just so that we are comfortable that we are growing in the right direction instead of growing apart.
I like that. What you want to add, Chris?
Nothing.
Chris said he in learn mode right now. Hey man, I can
Absolutely. Because like I
hey,
said, like I was said before my mic cut out, I've never been in a long-term, healthy, strong relationship. So I don't know how to maintain one. So I would rather hear from y'all and take tips from y'all and implement that into the next situation that I happen to get into if I get into one.
well, how about this? Because I would like some of your feedback, and I'm not forcing your hand, but those long-term relationship problems that we deal with, where a lot of times are the same problems that we had in the short term. We just didn't address them, and now they're the same problem that rear his head. And you like, what in the world? She was like that day one. He was like that day one. So just based off of that concept and you being in a shorter term relationship, what were some of the challenges that you faced just in a short term relationship? Because I guarantee you, whatever that problem was in a short term relationship, there are a bunch of dudes out here that ignored that, kept staying with that person, still with that person, still having issues with that person, or eventually got out of that situation. So,
I don't know. I guess I I attracted overly masculine single mothers.
mm,
And for some strange reason, when I used to date them, they used to try to mother me like they mothered their children. And when I started standing up for myself, I became the toxic one because I was standing up for myself. I'm not your child. Stop talking to me like that. You don't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? It's unnecessary. I didn't do anything to you to even warrant this type of behavior. I don't know if you view me as weak or if this is how you've had to deal with other men in your life, but I'm going to need you to stop because if you don't, this relationship just isn't going to work. I say that once because I do not believe that you have to tell a grown up something more than once. If they do it after you address it, it's a choice. And since you chose to completely disregard what I said, I'm going to choose to leave you. Everything is cause and effect. The cause of me leaving is you constantly repeating the same behaviors I told you was a problem. Those were my issues. And then that's when I pulled myself out of the whole thing. And then that's how I developed the mind state that I have now about just viewing how we interact with each other as a whole, both men and women, and seeing both sides of it. And that's why I think I needed to pull myself out of it because I didn't understand it. I didn't have any of these conversations when I was coming up. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have a masculine figure telling me how much of a responsibility it was to carry my seed. I didn't have a woman around that was in the nurturing mindset to teach me what I'm supposed to look for in a woman. I didn't have any of that. So I needed to pull myself out of it to get that knowledge. So this is why I am the way that I am now. I look at everything from an objective point of view, pulling myself out of it because I need to understand this shit before I get into another relationship. I have to understand the dynamic between our reflections and us. I have to understand the behaviors. I have to understand the causes, the effects, the triggers. I have to understand all of that before I even think about bringing somebody into my life. And I have to understand that about me before I can understand that about them. So I got to pull myself out of it, man. It's selfish of somebody to put themselves in a relationship and deal with another person when they're in a transitional stage where they're trying to figure things out. It's selfish. You got to figure that out first. You can't bring nobody in your life like that, man. That's selfish. So
Talking
I'm
about you
choosing
ain't
to
had it.
say that again.
So you talking about you ain't had it.
I'm just saying, man.
Hey,
I
speak your truth, man.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, man. It's I just need to understand. I need to understand, and I need perfect clarity about myself, and I need perfect clarity about my reflection. I have to. So this is why I'm pulling myself out of it, and I'm listening to y'all, because I mean, most of my short-term relationships, and even some of my long-term relationships, were around me thinking that I had to take abuse from my partner because I took it when I was coming up. And then once I sat back and I said, okay, this ain't right. She ain't supposed to be talking to you like this. You understand what I'm saying? She ain't supposed to be openly, blatantly misrepresenting the union and you allowing it. This ain't cool. This isn't cool. What's this about you that's causing this? That's what I needed to figure out. So I'm out.
And I think that's why when we get with whomever you decide to befriend, to get to know, to court, however you want to word it, you realize you are marrying into them as well as their previous relationships, because everything they have learned and experienced is coming along with them. So now you, and I know people don't like the way I say it, but you have to train that person to be with you, just like they have to train you to be with them, because there's some things that you do inherently that they may not like. And that's why it's an ebb and flow in the relationship, where there's some things that I won't accept, there's some things that I don't like. Now we can compromise on some I don't likes if it's not compromising the relationship, if it's not compromising me, but I won't compromise on things that I won't accept. And we have to get to know that person. And a lot of what we get to know will develop a healing process for the union. Because when we start to actually realize, like, hold up, this person not handling me like my mother, who caused me trauma, my ex who caused me trauma, they handling me in a better fashion. So, and I appreciate it, I like it. So when I find what I like now, okay, I can communicate with them. Okay, I appreciate you doing exactly what you're doing, helping me through the pains and hurts that I've experienced. And communication to say, how can I help you? How can I be better for you? How can I be a better me? And when you find somebody that wants you to be a better you, not just for them, but for you to be better, then that's something to work with.
Yeah, I agree with all of that, Ro. I think one of the things that we encounter is just trying to understand, and I've said it so many times, that the journey of life is all about self-discovery. Um, as you start to progress in life, you learn more about yourself, and in the learning phases of yourself, you learn how to not just behave but express yourself as well. One of the things that we strive to do is to get to the point of expressing ourselves honestly, and openly. And so that's why I say a relationship is what we call the perfect training ground, because there are some things about me that I cannot see. Everybody has blind spots. So to have a person who has a general understanding of who you are, that can share some things back about you and you accept it openly, right? And then just ask questions to learn about, what does that look like? What did the situation look like when it presented itself? How did I respond that made you look the particular type of way? Now what you're understanding is that you're getting a different perspective of who you are. It's the perspective that you didn't know, because your perspective is jaded by your experiences and all of the information that you heard prior to, like Roland said. You get in a relationship with a person in every previous relationship that they've been through. So under the concept of what we call emotional intelligence, the first category of emotional intelligence is what we actually call personal competence. Personal competence is all about self-discovery. You want to get to the point, like you said, Chris, self-discovery, because once you understand, number one, go through self-awareness, and then you go through self-management, then that gets you to the point to where you can start getting into what we call relationship. Now, so now we're talking social management. Social management incorporates relationships and the ability to sense other people's emotions and read the room, not read Vic's book. But read the room. My bad. So that
I
I would
promise,
agree.
man, that promo is amazing. I
It is.
absolutely love it.
The
It's
first chapter of my
amazing.
book is self-discovery, because you can't solve anything until you solve your issues for self first. So
Right.
that's
And
why I'm
like I
just sitting
said,
back, just taking it all in. I don't even need to talk about it. Go buy the book.
right, but
Hey, there
that's
you
also
go.
why I said what I said. I got to deal with me first, because I'm attracting things that I don't like, and that I'm attracting things that I know I'm attracting things that are bad for me. And I need to figure out why. What in me is causing this? So that's why I pulled myself out of it. Self realization and self accountability and self responsibility sucks a lot, but it's necessary. It's embarrassing. It's all of the above, but it's a dark place you got to go through to fix some things that's wrong with you. And
Join
that's
me
where I
on,
am right now.
join me on Saturday. I'm gonna talk about that for about an hour and a half.
What time?
Okay.
Plug it.
10:30.
Plug it.
10:30.
10:30 Empowering Perspective
Yeah,
podcast. Make sure you
I'm
check it out.
coming.
There
Ten
you
I'm
thirty
go.
coming. I got.
Eastern.
10:30 Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, send the
Empowering
invite. I'm coming.
Perspective podcast. Coach, go ahead. Hey, drop your
I'm
link to your
dropping. I'm
YouTube
dropping.
channel in the chat so everybody can see it. Hey, speaking of chat,
Yeah.
hey, thank everyone who's in the chat. We see y'all over there having great conversations over there. Appreciate you being part of the show. We're going to switch topics, but I know everybody's been waiting for this
Antoine.
moment in the show. Finally, you guys, go out there, hit the drum roll, all of that stuff. The moment that Liz and everybody in the chat been
Oh,
waiting for.
geez.
Mr. Antoine Christopher, the other artist, is here, so we can finally start the show.
Sorry.
He said he eating his pistachios and you done
Eating his
clicked him
nuts.
on.
Oh my God.
I'm telling you, like clockwork.
After
Yeah.
that
Hey.
intro, that's what he gets.
I'm telling you, hey, we're not even playing a game. He fumbled every week.
Oh man.
You couldn't sound you better than that? Damn.
Man, that was a good intro, man.
He brought
Got
you
your hair
in.
looking good today. We
Told you he was
we
late
figured,
because he went to get his hair done.
Yeah,
Y'all thought I was joking.
That's what-
Coach said you got a roller set, man.
Yeah. Oh man.
Present
Oh
plan.
man, I
Sorry,
love it.
everyone.
What
My
you call it?
apologies, man. My
Hey,
apologies.
Roland said you got that fresh wet set going on.
Hey,
You guys done? You finished?
yeah, we back on
Yeah.
track.
Thanks,
Not
thanks,
yet.
Garfield, man. That was
Two more.
Garfield, that was great.
Two more. We need two more. Then we'll move on.
Oh man. Oh
No, I'm
man.
just playing.
That was amazing.
Couldn't time it any better than that, boy.
Nah, this is good, Antoine. Antoine been backstage for about 5 minutes. I texted him. I told him I'd bring him on in a minute. I wanted to give him the grand welcoming though. So appreciate you being here, Antoine. How are you, man?
Good, man. Good. Sorry about that, everyone, for my tardiness.
It's
all
all
All good. What's up, Antoine?
Hey, so look, we're going to pivot a little bit. You know what I mean? In a long-term relationship, you want to make sure, at least if you want to have a successful one, that you maintaining a good connection. So, how can men maintain a strong connection with their partner and keep the romance alive over time?
Their partner.
It's at the bottom, Antoine, under scroll. I got you. I even put you down at the bottom corner so you could see it better. So it'll be closer to you.
I'm gonna jump out there since everybody like, whoa, I don't want to touch that one. I think when you look at your significant other, realizing I'm trying not to be crass, but you
Bro,
gotta
keep it real.
you gotta look at your lady for one. If you wanna, somebody else wanna. So always be thinking in the back of your mind, somebody out there gonna try to talk my lady out her drawers.
Mhm.
Somebody out there gonna try to have a come up and be saying little sweet nothings, making her smile. And if you ain't making her smile and she come in smiling, you gonna be like, what you smiling at? She smiling at Billy up the street, just said something to make it. So I think if you always remember one, that's your friend. That's your friend. So not your enemy. So no matter what's going on, remember that's your friend, and always be willing to compliment, compliment, and not just some old bogus bull crap, but compliment her and respect her. I mean, sometimes you can compliment a woman's mind just as well as you can her body, and it'll be even sexier. And I think when you realize when you're pushing her to be better, and you're recognizing her accomplishments, some other little Negro come out there talking this little bull crap really ain't gonna matter because my man said it, and that's what matters because he's the one pushing me, he's the one helping me on this train, helping me with my drive, helping me with whatever. And when you can be her biggest cheerleader, some men don't like to be cheerleaders. I tell her, hey, I'm the president of the fan club. So when you be her biggest cheerleader, because if the lights, you flicking them lights and they ain't coming on, she don't want no romance. You can't be talking about I'm feeling a little. You ain't feeling a little when she worried about bills being due. And that. You take care of your business and encourage her. Everything else will fall in line. Keep yourself up.
I think having days with no outside communication and just isolation for a little bit, I think those are useful. Uh, you got to have some time where you could just pig out if you want to, or be lazy if you want to, or be as random as you want to be. Um, Especially when like it's cold outside. Like what you gonna do? It's a good time to figure yourselves out, and reset. So I think you got to create moments and be deliberate about it, and you got to set boundaries on things that's outside of your relationship. So it never gets consumed. You want somebody that can participate with you, but also allows you a space to disconnect, so you can balance both things and just take a break from either side. Because there's work to be done in both areas, and your mate is there to reassure you, so you can actually take that motivation and create some momentum with whatever it is that you're doing. It's not just treating each other like chores, checking the block, and dealing in that complacency energy, like we was talking about before when we opened the show. So I think anything that negates the complacency is going to do a service in keeping the romance alive.
I'm gonna say it differently. I'm gonna say it like this. You see, I
Oh
think
shit.
that men, I think to keep that excitement alive, the connection, all that lovey-dovey crap. I think what you need to do is you need to separate the two: your business life and your personal life, right? But men today become too damn comfortable with their woman. They think they don't go anywhere. They think no other man wants them, right? You become complacent, you become comfortable. They stop asking her out for dinner because they just assume she's gonna cook something for both of them, or they're gonna assume she's gonna assume you're gonna pick something up for both. You don't keep it interesting anymore, right? First of all, you got all that she's telling you every day, "Oh, I love you, I miss you. What time you coming home?" Blah 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 blah. Then you get all comfortable with that shit. No, you got to keep it interesting. You still got to ask her out for dinner. You still got to do the surprise stuff, right? But you know she ain't going anywhere. You know she ain't laying down with anybody else but you. So you become so comfortable, you forget the small things, right? You need a special day to give a flower. You need a special day to do Valentine's and all that woman stuff, right? I mean, Valentine's ain't for us, but that's besides the point. But it should, every day should be a Valentine's. Every day you should surprise her with something. You know, when you make a deal, you know you struck gold. You should bring her home something for that, right? You should reward her for the stuff that she's doing when you're not around, and you should reward her for not caring when you're not around because you're doing your thing, right? But if she's seeing you working hard, making all this money and getting all the bag, but she's not feeling anything from it, she's not feeling like she's contributing to it, dude, I don't blame her for looking somewhere else, right? You still got to get freaky in the backseat of your car once in a while. You still got to get it in the movie theater. You still got to like spank it once in a while. So if you keep it like that, like when you first met her, you know, when you're hot and heavy for sex, then the sex becomes comfortable. Then you know what she's wearing, those granny panties. You got to tell her don't wear those granny panties. You got to tell her bring home the good Victoria's Secret. Let her go buy her a dress and then let her buy her something for you. You're the lingerie and she's the dress. So you gotta show her what you're working hard for and the life you're gonna show her and give her. You gotta keep it interesting. I think men today, they get married, they put the ring on it, and that's it. She ain't going nowhere. She married to me, right? And then you start dressing funny. You start wearing 2-color socks. You start getting that old man smell. You don't go out and buy the new cologne. You wear a shirt with a hole in it. You don't look good and presentable for her, right? So then she starts doing the same thing. And then you're looking like yesterday's newspaper, and she's looking like last week's newspaper. And you don't want to read that shit. So man, you gotta freaking spice it up, man. You gotta brush your teeth. You know, don't talk to her in the morning when your breath's nasty. You wouldn't do that if she wasn't your woman. You know what I mean? You gotta keep it interesting. You gotta wash it up. You gotta come home smelling like fresh. Can't come home and just drop your ass on the couch. The last job you do, say hello to her. Make sure you're looking good. Make sure she got everything taken care of. Make sure you smell good. Make sure you check yourself. Make sure you don't just run to the bathroom. Hold it in for a second, right? Don't hold it in. Don't lift your hand up. All these things that you never used to do when it was fresh, when the relationship was good, when it was new, in the first 6 months, the honeymoon stage, right? But that's what I'm saying. And you got to keep it interested in the bedroom, man. She had toys before you. You don't want her to use those toys when you're not around. I'm just saying, man, that's not that hard. You got to pay attention to the small things. You know, you give her a diamond ring. Who gives a shit about the diamond ring? Really? That's going to keep her happy, but it's not going to keep her consistently happy, right? That's what I'm thinking. Men take advantage of knowing the woman is going to be there. She has every right to look elsewhere. You know, everybody's so good at looking at seeing if the grass is greener on the other side. How fucking good are you watering the grass you're on? That's what I want to know. How good is the grass you're standing on? How good are you watering it? Keep it simple, people. It's not hard. You knew these things before you did these things before you got into the 6 months, a year stage. You know, when you started wearing that baseball cap all the time, you started wearing the same pants every day. You know you're not supposed to be doing that. You wouldn't do that if you were taking her out every day, going to meet her parents, going to meet her friends. You would look fly. And a girl knows when you're not looking fly anymore because you're coming home to that. That's all I'm saying. It's not that hard.
You ain't got to shoot shots at me though, Antoine. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
You done made this man take off his hat.
Yeah.
I almost took mine off.
I almost took off my Scully too.
Yeah,
It was the
Ain't
granny
that
panties for
something?
me.
If the granny panty.
It was the granny panties for me, bro. I'm sorry.
That's my solution, man.
I
She's
don't.
gotta be rewarded. She's gotta
Hey,
be
did you see what I
rewarded.
said? I said it's gonna go left in 5,
Yep. Countdown.
4.
That wasn't that's true.
Oh, you
But
were
here's
good.
the
You were
deal.
good.
Who in the
The
chat
5.
or on the panel disagree with anything that Antoine is saying?
So that's what I'm saying. I was just about to say I mean, it's going to be hard for me to follow that up. But I'm gonna
He
take
ain't
my.
wrong.
He's not.
He's
But
not.
I'm gonna take my swag at it from a different perspective, though. I think men, we like big stuff. We like the monumental splash, and we like buying big gifts, and we like seeing the smiles on their face and things of that nature. But I think we got to recondition ourselves to realize that it's the little things. So I want to address my attention on the first part of this. Maintain a strong connection. First, you got to establish a strong connection, then maintain a strong connection, right? So it's the conversations, it's the hugs, it's the kisses, it's asking how their day was. It's all of those little things that lead up, right? Occasionally, and it depends on who you're with and what your household norms look like. If she is generally the one that's actually doing some of the cooking, get up and beat her to the kitchen every now and then and cook. Do something. Bring her breakfast in bed. Surprise her. And I think the surprises is the key. But see, in our minds, that's the big thing. So you don't have to wait for the surprises as well. So it has to be a balance of the little things and the big things that factor in. I think the romance will actually line up with the connection. So as you are continuing to build that connection and not lose the energy with maintaining that connection, you'll find the romance will coincide. Men like to look at romance as though we're trying to hit a home run every time we go at the bat. For them, it's not about the home run, it's the connection during the process. And so when you're understanding everything that you're doing, right, that leads up to the bedroom activity, it is still the connection. Don't lose your mind and go into Cro-Magnon man mode at that particular point where you start beating your chest and hollering, right? That's when you really need to pay attention. That's when you need to make eye contact. That's when you are literally you're fine-tuning that connection at that point. So I think that's for me, I think that's kind of like the place where men need to exist. We need to understand the connection by all means is more important than the romance. However, the connection would lead to the romance. It's not physical activity. It's not going to the gym. It's not getting a workout. It is an extension of the relationship that you have that go into a deeper realm of existence.
I agree with you, Coach, and I think that because I know how I used to be, where I thought if I did something, I should be rewarded with sex. So everything that I would do, well, I did this, I gave you flowers, I did this, I got you a massage, or you start the massage, and next thing you know, you focusing on the booty, and you ain't moved, and next thing you know, like, wait a minute, how you get naked? That's how.
But wait, did you see what just happened, Roland?
What's
When
that?
you said that, every man's face adjusted because everybody's guilty.
Yeah,
Everybody did it.
massage.
Everybody did it.
We've
I
all
got to
done it.
unstrap the bra. I got it like, yeah, dog. You see, we automatically
Almost everybody.
we automatically
Everybody been
go
there.
right there. And I think in their minds, they just want to be appreciated and shown affection and shown love without the thought that it gotta end up here. Sometimes that's not where. Like I think somebody in the chat said something earlier. My glasses keep messing up about about sex, because we are physical beings, period. And that's why a lot of times we just got to compliment our ladies, even though as you grow older, you almost fit like me. I'll be 50 this year. So my woman will be 50 this year. So everything ain't gravity coming into play and everything. It ain't like it used to. It ain't like when we were 21. So I'm realistic with it. So you can't be looking at these chicks on TV with the BBLs and all this other stuff, and you thinking that's about to be what you got, and you complimenting them, but then she walked past you and you're like, no, it's yours. You got to keep up the maintenance on it. You got to keep it. You got to be the one to appreciate it and show appreciation to it.
Yeah, I think a big present just means you want to forget about something. That's what all a big present means. It just means you wanted to forget about something. It's the small things you do incrementally that lead up to the big thing. You know what I mean? And I think that's important to know that. If you're giving your wife a big present like a diamond, what do you want her to forget? What did you do that was so bad that you needed to do that? Ask yourself, because you're not doing it on a regular basis, right? I'm just saying, if you just one day decide to do it, I mean, no, it's got to incrementally is always best. A little something every day, because as when gravity comes to us all, right? Let's be honest. Looks and height goes out the window. Gravity comes to us all. So she knows she doesn't look. She knows she's not looking like when you first met her in that tight dress. So you have to give her that extra compliment to make her feel that, hey, you know what? I'm still looking at you with the pair of eyes I did 10 years ago. You got to still give her that look. You got to still smack it once in a while, because she needs to feel that you look at her the same way, not necessarily physically in the bedroom, but that you look at her the same way. You look at her with the same appreciation. My goodness, man, that's not hard to do. If you work 8 hours a day, or 12 or whatever, and you come home, you can't tell me that if your wife doesn't look like she appreciates you when you walk through that door, like, thank God you home, you are going to feel like, Jesus, Christmas, what did I work all that day, right? You know that. So if you come home and she knows that you're excited to see her when you walk through that door, you may not have showed it all day at work, but she knows, man, she can. Man, if you tell her, you know what, I couldn't stop thinking of your cooking because I know when I come home, I'm going to see you. I'm going to have this great meal. That's a little thing. That ain't even her putting in effort, I mean, I think that's how you should look at it. It's not hard. Life isn't complicated, it's men that make it so.
I think the whole, if I common denominator it, I think men can maintain a stronger connection with their partner by giving their partner the security in knowing that they can actually like them and not look stupid, if that makes any sense. You understand what I'm saying? They want to know that they're actually putting their feelings into a man that actually understands and cares and knows how to maneuver with those feelings in a way that's not going to put the whole relationship at a deficit. You understand what I'm saying? And for a lot of women, that's tough because a lot of women have made some horrible choices in men. So I think somebody said it earlier. If we see something in that partner that we're looking at, we have to extend that grace to understand that, all right, you've made some smartest person in the world, but you've made some silly choices. I'm gonna see if I can stay long enough to put you in a position where you feel secure enough for me to actually be able to work that out and understand that I ain't gonna never do none of that stuff to you. I think that's where we could start. A lot of women talk this security stuff and immediately bring up money, but I don't think it's money. I think they just need the security and knowing that they can like you and not look stupid in the process, knowing that you're doing what you're supposed to do for the union. I think that's where we could start and then just build from there.
I think reassurance, respect, finding better ways to deliver the same message. Because like I know personally, I had an epiphany, I guess, in the last week where I realized that I talk differently to women than I always have because I wasn't raised with women. It was just me and my brother, and what I'm saying, and my dad. So I didn't grow up having to account for a little girl's feelings. You know what I'm saying? All the way through life, didn't have to go through like teen years with a teen sister or anything like that. So it's a lot of things that I never got socialized with about, what I'm saying, relationships with women until we got to a certain spot where all of the basic stuff that we've been discussing, like in terms of, like just the general health of the relationship, it's still some fine tuning that's always there. And you can always have those spots where like where you stumble because that's just on your side of it. Like everybody's got a glitch with somebody else, like we get complacent in some areas where well, it may appear to be complacent for one person and the other person thinks it's something else, but all of us have our own processes. And sometimes if we speak too quickly, then we get the wrong message across. And now we're talking about something completely different than what we thought we were talking about. So I think reassurance and, making sure that you fine tune and deliver your message and and account for the other person's experience, and also um, have I guess increased transparency, because there's some things that you just don't understand about yourself that you just come into the know of, and when you can finally explain those things, which Chris has spoken on, you know what I'm saying, at length about his own individual journey of accountability and being able to be better, you know, so he can see better outcomes. And I think ultimately you just have to dedicate some time to what it takes to be more reassured with each other. And that's why I say, like, those disconnect days where you don't talk to nobody outside the house. It's just you two, you know what I'm saying, watching bad movies together or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, uh, I think you got to find your own rhythm again, to reset yourself. No different than you have to restart your phone sometimes. Sometimes you got to restart the internet at the house. It's the same thing in your relationship.
I just want to add one more piece in there. You also got to find a way to have fun. I think that's one of the biggest things that we keep forgetting. You got to find a way to have fun together. I don't care. I think somebody mentioned binge watching shows. One of the things, I'm a real big movie buff. I love watching movies. And a lot of times, what I find myself doing is remembering certain actors and actresses that played in certain things. So whenever stuff comes up, right, I'm like, hey, that's the dude that played in, that movie, whatever, right? So it's small, but it's a way of having fun together. It keeps the connection going. Just find ways to have fun. Play games. Get culture tags, man. Culture tags is fun.
You know what? You know what a small thing is my father used to do. I never appreciated it when I was younger. Only now. I said, "How did you?" Because my father was more of like, he's from the island, so they don't talk much. So I used to say, "What do you like? What do you do like to tell mom certain things?" He goes, "I forget my lunch, because back then your wife made the lunch." And my father noticed that my mother used to get a kick running after him, say, "Hey, you forgot your lunch." So he goes, then after I knew that she liked doing it, I just kind of forget it once in a while on purpose, you know. And she was like, once he drove up the street, and I couldn't remember how much my mom chased him down. Like, man, she really likes that. And he turned the car around. He said, my woman looked at me like I loved her, like there was no other, just by turning around the car from up the street, coming all the way back down for that little lunch pail. And then he noticed that she just loved when he forgot his lunch. So he made it a habit once in a while to do it, even though he remembered. So I just think little things like that. It was funny. I used to laugh at it because we used to know when he did it. He used to wink at me and walk out the door like, "I got this one. Watch this one. You're gonna love this one." And my mom used to chase. I don't know. I just think things like that. You leave your phone somewhere. you know.
I feel you, Antoine. I think also to kind of add to this and kind of add to what Coach had talked about was that connection piece. When you had a connection and you have that understanding with your partner and you understand how they actually like to be romanced, you know what I mean? And then you kind of follow suit. So you have those conversations because everybody, you may think that, we evolve over time. Antoine talked about some other stuff, talked about some toys and stuff like that, good, bad, or indifferent. But the relationship evolves over time. So, like someone said, keep it spicy. Coach talked about having fun. Like all of those things are part of the relationship and the romance over time too. There's a time and place for everything. Put certain things on the calendar so you guys can spend time together, on purpose. So that's kind of what I had to say about that. But again, shout out to everybody in the chat. If you haven't done so already, hit that like button. It helps with the algorithm and all those good things, and it shows a little bit of support for the show. So I appreciate you and all of those good things like that. Next, I want to talk about, um, strategies, right? So in a long-term relationship, there are a lot of different things that go good and a lot of different things that go bad. We have work, we have life, Roland, we talked about having kids and different things like that. Some of us have children, had children, raised children, they're going out the house, all these different things. So what are some strategies for effectively managing your work life balance and maintaining a healthy work life dynamic? Hold up. Whoa, that ain't the question I wanted. Yeah, that's not the one I wanted. Hold on. I apologize, folks. Y'all go talk about something while I find the right one. Oh yeah,
So,
what are some
ooh,
strategies for effectively maintaining or effectively managing work-life balance? So in the relationship, like find time to do your work and build your relationship at the same time.
Um,
I'm adjusted.
the
Use the
relationship.
calendar. Commit to having fun.
I would say the
That's it.
relationship is the most important thing. That I think that's where I would draw the line at. Work is great, but I work to support the relationship. Work is great. I work to bring food home. Work is great. I work so that we can achieve the joint goals that we establish for ourselves. But the relationship is the most important thing. I appreciate my work. Don't get me wrong, right? But if it ever got to the point to I had to choose my job and my relationship, especially if I'm married, I can easily get a job. That's not a thing. So I think when we look at it from that perspective, I know Antoine, that was tough, but when we look at it, the relationship has a deeper meaning. The skill sets that I'm have that skill sets that I have, they're transferable, right? The relationship that I have with any employer, that's great for now, but we're not. We have a short term commitment with one another. So I think when we look at it from that perspective, that helps me to manage what we call work life balance. That helps me to keep my priorities in check. When I when I over prioritize in one direction than the other, then one is going to get neglected. So I don't bring work home, right? That's home. That's time I spend with my spouse, my family, whatever that looks like, right? I think that's the important thing that I have to keep on the table. I know when we was in the army, they would say, family first, duty always, right? But then what you find out what they meant is that duty first, duty always, and family they'll catch up when they get there, right? So that's really what it was. But again, ideally, most of us, and I don't know, Roland, I don't know if you were married when you joined the army, and Uncle Junior, I don't know if you were married when you joined the army. Vic, I don't know if you were, but eventually, what you found out, whether you were married or not, when you finally got married, you realized that you had to do this for your spouse. You had to roll them in deers. You had to get this. You had to make sure they had access to all these things, right? So they had to be well supported. And then it evolved. Even if you joined the army as a single man, you realize that my family is really benefiting from what I'm doing. So you found a deeper meaning for the job. But at the end of the day, there was something that happened to where at some point, if you think back on your military career, I think you guys agree with me, at some point you realize, like, yo, I've been here 7 p.m. It's 8 p.m. I need to get home. I got kids I got to put to bed, all this other great stuff. So I'm all about finding meaning at work, but the work does not overshadow the marriage. The marriage, again, is a higher priority than the job. And when we flip flop that, now we're running into a whole different dynamics. And everything we said before goes out the door. So I want to make sure I'm saying that.
I think if we're looking at strategies, having a schedule helps because, like for me, I don't have a job outside of my house. I'm at home all day, so I like to know when she's leaving work or wherever she's coming from. I like to know because I want whatever food I've prepared. I don't want it to have to put it in the microwave. I'm starting something to where it's hot when she comes in, so I can take her bags and all this other stuff to let her know I ain't just been sitting at home all day. And I want her to feel appreciated. Okay, you've been outside the house all day, so when you come home, this is what we do. So we got a schedule. So she like to watch certain shows. So she'll want to binge watch certain things when she come in and wind down. So she know by 9 o'clock I'm going to sleep on the couch. But it doesn't matter because I'm going to sleep on the couch right there. So as long as it's our time and it's her winding down, I want to go to bed, but she want to watch this. So I'm gonna sit up here and be like, "Did you see that?" Then I'm gonna ask a bunch of questions. But it's us spending time together while she winds down from her busy day and showing that I care enough to make sure she eats, make sure she's safe. And now I'm gonna sit up here and try to watch these shows where they marrying people without seeing them for the first time and stuff like that.
I think one thing I'm gonna talk about a strategy is self-care. Um, on yourself personally. I think that everybody that is in a relationship should practice a certain amount of self-care. Like you can't give your spouse, you can't give your wife, your partner, whoever you want to call your all if you are not whole yourself. Like If you're not taking care of yourself, you're not eating well, you're not working out, you're not taking care of your body, you're not taking care of your mind, like you're not going to be at your best to give to your partner. So I think it's very important that we practice a certain level of self-care on ourselves. You know, a lot of times, you know, we see things, you know, we'll spend time with them and we do all of these things, going to the movies and, you know, taking vacations and trips. But what good are all of these trips if you die on your spouse at 55 years old because you haven't taken care of your life, you haven't taken care of yourself? So I think that one of those things that we have to look at, how your personal health and fitness and mindset and well-being, how are these things, if not kept in check, how they're going to be a hindrance or possibly a burden to the person that you love in the future. So I think it's very important that we work on all of those things, you know, our physical and our mental health, and along with, you know, the work life, you know what I mean? And I think that goes into the work, having a balance at work, like Coach was saying, you know, don't, might have been rolling, don't bring work home all the time. You know, certain things need to cut off. You know, you need to set boundaries in a relationship. You know what I mean? So I think all of those things are very important, you know what I mean, in a relationship. You ready, Antoine? He down there. Ain't been able to sit still.
Man, the
He been
month of
locked, cocked, ready to rock.
no, listen. Whew.
But actually, before you go, I do want to say this, and I'm not speaking for Coach, but before you go, I think I know where you're going to go. But if I'm wrong, I'm just wrong. But nothing we're saying is taking into the account that we're going to let the household fail for the relationship.
Which is why I said
We're
skills are
not,
transferable.
yeah.
All I heard was a bunch of BS. Because let me tell you, I don't know about you guys. Love don't pay the bills, and I'm not becoming homeless. I'm not becoming homeless because of some woman in my life. That ain't happening.
Antoine, that's what I just said. You're not neglecting the home.
I separate.
That's what we said.
I separate the two. She will never come first in my professional life. She comes first in my personal life because I can't take that. I love the life I live. I had it before you, and if you leave me, I'll have it after you. That's the way it's gonna stay. Now, this whole thing about, oh, I'm gonna love this and love this, my job comes after that ain't happening with me. I love my art. You will never come first before my art. My art brings me joy. It brings me peace. I am a whole man because of my art. I owe everything I have because of my art. I draw from my studio at home. And when that red light is on, you don't exist, nor will you ever. You exist in a text. That's it. You exist if I want coffee. And she's got to understand that, because after I pay the bills, I take care of my woman, right? So if I'm coming home and I know I got things to do, I keep it interesting in there because that's where I create. Now, if she is in my personal life, she comes first. The weekends, baby, what do you want to do? I don't need to hear all that lovey crap during the week. I really don't want to hear it. But when I come home, fine, that's great. But you guys are acting like love pays the bills or something. You guys are acting like I'm willing to go homeless for this woman. I ain't willing to do shit like that. No, I don't love you like that. I had that in the puppy love stage. I had that growing up stage. I had that in the teen love stage. I had my rabbit stage. I had my whole stage. Now I'm a grounded man. Now I have a job. I have responsibilities, not only to you, to my clients. Your job is to understand that. I'm not saying that you can't show and express love, but I would never put that first over the well-being of the household. You guys are acting like she's got your balls. No, ask for them back. No, you want to lead? Lead. But you can't lead a house with nothing in it. My goodness. This is like, what I'm hearing from you guys is like, yeah, I'm going to make sure my wife is loved. You're supposed to be doing that. That ain't a job. She's with you for a reason. Yeah, that's normal. Of course she loves you. She married you, didn't you? You guys are acting like that's like a big thing. It's like, oh, I take care of my kids. You're supposed to, you idiot. They're your kids. You guys are acting like that's some big achievement. Like loving her is some big achievement, like it's a chore. No, it's not no damn chore. You're supposed to love her. You're supposed to take care of her. But don't mix the two between what you do 12 hours, 16-hour days with her. No, it doesn't work that way. I will never go homeless for a woman. You leave me, my heart will be broken for a week or so, till I get something else. and then that's it. Let's go. I don't understand what's so hard about understanding that. If you keep her happy consistently every day and express your love consistently every day and not make it like a chore, like something you have to do, and I got to do this and make sure she knows I love. Bitch, you know I love you. I'm married to you. I actually gave you the damn ring. Like, what the fuck? No, that part is taken care of. The day I stop leading, taking care of you, being a man, messing up with the kids, showing you that I don't love you, that's the day you worry. That's
Hey,
the day.
Antoine.
What's his answer though?
Antoine. Can you hear me? Uh-oh. They didn't pray
Like,
him up off the
he's
chat. They didn't pray him
cyber
up
attack.
off the show.
But what he's saying is true to a point, but I don't think anybody was saying that we were willing to give up the household for our woman.
Not one person said that.
I don't think anybody said that. Wait, Antoine, stop. Antoine, stop. Antoine, stop.
Don't start
None of
twisting it
them
differently.
said
I heard
that.
what I heard. Yes, they said I can find another job. I can put my job first. You guys said that. I heard it. Rewind the tape, and I'm like, you're out of your effing mind. I'm not finding another client. I got one, and you ain't it. What is that hard to understand?
Again,
Why are you mixing?
I don't think anybody said that they would give up their livelihood for a woman. They just said that skills are transferable, meaning that they can go find another job. They
Why
didn't say
would you
anything
find
about
another
not
job?
working.
But why
This
would
is
you
what-
find
this is-
another job?
Antoine, what do you
What
think
I'm
you
saying
heard?
is, what he heard was we put our woman before our livelihood, and
That's what
nobody
you guys
said
said.
that.
You said I can always find another job. Why would you want to find another job? You got a good
We
one.
can.
But you got
That's
a good
the
one. Why
thing.
you have to?
And I'm not saying it's right, and I'm not saying it's wrong. But what I'm saying is,
It's
as
right-
long
it's
as the
literally
house
right
is
there.
taken care of, and
Work,
I'm doing what I'm
life,
supposed to do in the
balance. There it
house,
is.
and none
Work-life
of the
balance.
lights are going to get turned on, none of the lights are going to get turned off, and the rent is paid, and I got enough to do it. If the profession that I'm in is becoming a detriment to my household, and I got enough in me to transition into something else in the same field that I like, that's going to give me the time that I need to actually be in the household, why wouldn't you do that? Because a man's presence in the household is what's necessary.
But dude, you had that
You
stuff
understand
before
what I'm
she came
saying?
along. You had that stuff before she came along. Why would you want
That's
to
true.
transition?
But
So
see,
why
and
would
that's
you wanna-
another thing that we've lost when it comes to relationships. That's another
mean,
thing
you
that
already
we've
have-
lost when we come into relationships.
And who
The
knows who's coming
relationship
into
is
this
not
spot?
about me. The relationship is not about her. The relationship is about me and her trying to do something bigger than us.
But if she's walking
Some
into this
sacrifices are going to be required. I'm not
No.
saying that it's right, and I'm not saying that it's wrong, but there are going to be times in a relationship, especially if you are in a marriage, that you just cannot remove yourself from without being held accountable by the state and everybody else that gets paid from all of this. Some compromises need to be had. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying
Antoine, I
it's
gotta-
right. I'm not saying it's wrong. But what I'm saying is, from what they're saying and from what I actually hear from the married men that I talk to, it's a thing. It is
Antoine.
what it is.
She's
Antoine, I got a
walking-
question.
If she's
Hold on,
walking into
Antoine.
the house the way it
Antoine.
is,
Antoine, I got a question for you.
Okay.
You mentioned in your comment a few minutes ago that something about she knows that you love her, right? So how do you talking about you show her whatever I did? So how do you show your woman that you love her? I'm just asking for
by
clarification.
your actions, actions.
Like what? Like be more specific.
Once in a while, you bring home the flowers. You tell her you love her. Once in a, you know, when you make a deal, you show her, you know what, I did good today. Look at this deal I made. Go buy your dress and buy the panties from me. Go. You give her things. You take her out. You don't just assume because she's your wife, you're not going to ask her out for dinner. You still have to ask her out for dinner. Too many men get comfortable. And you know why? I don't know how hard it is to show women you love them. It's not a difficult thing. You show in your actions. I'm not talking about buying a stupid diamond or something materialistic. In the little things. My God, you come home from a hard day's work. She's the first thing you see. You give her the flowers. You tell her you love her once in a while. You find out what she likes, what turns her float, what makes her boat float, and all that sort of stuff. Once you know the pattern, you don't have to change your life to make it a chore. The day it becomes a chore that I have to actually show my wife every day I love her is the day I divorce her, because I don't have time for that. You already know I love you. I'm going to be showing you every day I love you. Don't make it complicated. Please don't make it complicated for me. Don't ask me to read your mind because I'll never read your mind. Don't ask me to assume you're mad because if you're not mad and you are mad and you tell me you don't want to talk about it now, don't bring it up later because I ain't going to hear it. I hear it when I want to hear it. That's it. Simple.
I got
So
you.
if she knows how you are as a man and you know how she is as a woman, you know how to communicate with her through the language of love, her love, how she likes to hear it, how she likes to go about it, how she likes to receive it. My God, how hard is it to go off track of that? She already gave you the blueprint. You know the blueprint. So this whole, if I have to change my job because I'm not spending much time at home, you were doing that before she came along.
All right,
But
I
that
got
was
you.
before
Roland,
she
let me
came
hear what you got to say,
along.
Roland.
That's what I'm saying. It was before she came along. Now you're dealing
Yeah.
with a union, and it's not about you. You understand what I'm saying? Yes. If one person and one person come together, that is a union.
Yeah, it doesn't have to change.
That is a union.
No, it's
and
like if I have
sometimes
kids,
you
if
have
I
to put the union before your own personal ego and your own personal being set in
Or
your
not.
own ways.
I will say
That's
this.
all
Chris.
I'm saying.
You're wrong. You're wrong. No.
So I think one of the good things about this show is that it's okay to have different perspectives and different points of view, and we don't have to agree. You know what I mean? So I think we didn't kind of beat this a little bit, but I do want to hear what Roland has to say before I jump to one of the comments that I want to talk about in a second. But go ahead, Roland.
All right. I govern my marriage from scripture. So when scripture tells me to leave my father and mother and cleave to my wife, nothing's more important than the wife. The kids, the whomever, nothing's more important than the wife because everything comes through her. They're blessed through her. I'm blessed through her. She gives me, I'm retired. And I earn a nice little wage, just sitting my little happy at home. And I can afford everything. She don't pay no bills or nothing. I ain't worried about that. But she does what she wants to do. She works and everything. But when it comes to, I can't go buy her a dress, tell her to buy the panties and all that other stuff and say it's for her. That's for me. I can't do all these things that I think make her happy and expect her to be happy. I have to get her happiness or her ways of she's being satisfied from her, not from what I think, because for me, it's always going to be something physical and always going to end up with me getting some gratification from it. So when it comes to whether I would leave I had a chance to make almost $200,000 working overseas. It wasn't going to be good for my marriage. It would have been good for my bank account, but it wasn't going to be good for my marriage. So in turn, I said, no, I can't do that. Financially, I say, man, but we can pay this off, we can pay that off. And I was thinking in that vein, but for the sanctity of the marriage in her, I said, no, I can't do that. I can sit at home and maintain everything and still it'll be a happier space overall. And she voiced that. So I think when we actually listen to them and not go off of what we think will make them happy, it'll be a happier union.
But Roland, she already knew. Listen to me. If the woman's smart, she's going to say, listen, honey, if you know we can pay this off, we can pay that off by you going away. I want you to go away because I don't want this burden later on. She's supposed to be understanding like that. I'm just saying, like, you guys are acting like you've been living with this woman. You should know how to love her by now. You should know what floats her boat. You guys are acting like you got to reinvent yourself. And as to Chris, I'm saying this. If my life is structured like this, before my woman comes in, I'm going to say, this is how it is. I am not changing for you. Now, if there's things that you need that I need to work out, things that if you want kids, okay, we got to see how we're going to come together and make that work. Cool. But if you think at a man at my age, with all what I've built my life, you going to come in and because we have a union, this is going to change. Nah, I'm the man. I lead. This is how it's going to go. Now, let's figure out how you fit into that. Because when you want something, I'm going to make sure you have it. If I'm forgetting how to love you a certain way, you need to tell me where I forgot. It's not that hard. It's not a chore. It's not we're going to try to make this work, you're mad. What are you mad about? I did something wrong? Yeah, you don't show me you love me. Oh shit, you know what? You're right. I forgot the anniversary, or I forgot how to love you. I got off track. You're right. You know, if I'm working too long, she'll say, hey, you know what? Don't forget we got an event. I'd like this. If you can, I'd like it to go down this way. These are things you talk about. It's not like a big deal. I mean, and if you cannot come to a common ground, dude, what are you leading for? What are you leading for? Somebody's got to put their foot down and make a decision. That should be the man. That's how I believe. My father's been married almost 70 years. My mother's never been more loved. He never looked in another woman's eyes because the woman knew her role as a woman, as his wife, as the mother of his kids. She never had to guess and do all this. Well, you ain't. If he wasn't showing her love, you tell her straight, baby, you ain't showing it to me today. The kids are suffering. They miss you too much. You know what? Let me prioritize my overtime a little bit differently.
But that's work. That's work, Antoine.
And that was good.
But
right.
see, that's all we're saying. That's all we're saying. We're saying that in a union, when you're thinking about another person, sometimes that other person is going to feel a certain way, and that's when the discussion is had about what you're negating. That's all we're saying. We're not saying that you lose your identity. We're not saying you're not your own person. What we're saying is, in a union, you can be your own person, but you also have to consider the other person, just like you want the other person to consider you. That's all we're saying.
Why should Roland's marriage suffer because he decides to go over? Why should his marriage suffer because he wants to go overseas and make money to pay those bills? Because he told her, honey, we could pay down these bills. He's the man. He should go over and bring those bills down. She shouldn't have to. It shouldn't have to cost him his marriage.
But Antoine,
cost you your marriage.
If I could go, I could have went away, left her here with kids, handling everything, the day-to-day, the kids, everything. Father's gone, and you know how it is when you have kids in the house without a father, how they end up without his supervision, without his hand. And I told you, even retired, sitting at home, I make almost $100,000 a year.
Right.
So that's not necessarily, I don't need to. I can work at Walmart and get another.
But isn't that what men want? Their wives to stay home and take care of the kids. What are you worried about it now for?
But she has aspirations to do certain things, and I got to push her in her dreams also.
Okay, but your marriage shouldn't have to suffer because you decide to go overseas.
But it would, because think about it. Right. See, because one thing you got to think about.
I think it's more about Roland being present in the house than it is about
being
the money.
Present in the house. And think about it. And all the things you see on TV and everything. When somebody goes overseas, what you think about? Oh, that nigga over there chasing skirts. He over there sticking and moving. He over there shooting bombs over Baghdad, but I ain't talking about missiles. So now her mind is thinking all this and people in her ear and whatever, whether you want to or not, things gonna come inside your psyche. So you got to curtail that. You got to make sure that she has peace of mind with you and the stability and the sanctity of your marriage. And if that's gonna hinder that, cut it off.
I would definitely have a discussion with my wife. If I know I draw 12 hours a day, sometimes 14. That's the first thing coming out of my mouth. You got to understand. I'm passionate about this, right? This is what I do. And I got a deadline. I got clients. I got to fill it up. I would really love to go to that black tie event, but you know what? I got to spend 8 more hours doing this. Now, these are discussions you have with her. I'm not saying, I believe no man should take another, that whole thing about, oh, you know what? I want to be able to secure a wife, and the wife has to be home, and I want to be able to take care, provide all. You ain't doing that in the year 2023. All right. You ain't paid for all those bills shit, because I don't know about you, bills cost. All right. I don't know what kind of lifestyle you guys want to live, but you want to take care of a wife at home and all, it costs money. So I'm just saying, if my wife was a doctor or a lawyer, I am not going to tell her she has to stop working. No, you stop working when we have kids, and there's a reason. Right. And you have that discussion. Okay, so how do you want to take care of the stuff at home? You and me. How do you want to prioritize our time together? How do you want to? It's not hard. And besides, I don't want to see you 24/7 anyways. I really don't. All right. I need to miss something. I need to send flowers somewhere. You had a life before me. God damn it, woman. Have a life after me too. I mean, come on. Make it spicy for me too. If I get this, it's like having the same salad every freaking day. The only thing changing is the dressing, for crying out loud. It's still the same salad. I'm just saying, like, no, you have to. There's nothing that she does or you do in your outside life to make a good living for yourselves and the well-being of the children should cost you anything between you and her. That's just a discussion. That's it. It's just a discussion. I don't understand why that's so like a chore. If a relationship is a chore for me, I don't want it. I'm good. Just give me sex once in a while. We good. It's all right. I'm good. Holy shit, and I can get that.
I got you. I got you. Hey, I want
Antoine,
to
Antoine's also a 50-50 relationship person too. So
100%
his mindset,
50-50.
yeah. So like he's a 50-50 relationship mindset. So that's why it sounds different, for his perspective. So there's some components that just don't match up with what he
but
is
it
talking
still
about
ain't going to be
versus what we
50-50
experience.
regardless. It's never
I know it ain't
50.
going to be. I said 50.
We know it's not, but we saying like the 50-50 mindset is different than what we're talking about.
Yeah,
I am not
and that's why I
taking
said
Hey,
I
real
didn't
quick.
disagree with him. I didn't disagree with him. I listened to what he said. I actually agree with you when it comes to the 50-50 mindset. I wasn't trying to combat you or argue with you with what I was saying. I was just bringing another perspective to it. I understand what you're saying completely. I get it.
saying, like, if you really want a piece of this mortgage, you really want to pay a piece of this mortgage, you really want it, honestly, you really want to
What
pay
you
it, let
What
me
you got,
know.
Coach?
You crazy.
What you got,
Nothing.
Coach?
Not a thing. Nothing.
I see
No,
you on
no,
mute.
no. I do have one thing because I like what you said earlier. You said about everybody's perspective. And I'm paraphrasing. I can't remember exactly what you said, but
Yeah.
everybody's perspective is honored and appreciated. And I agree with that because I feel the same way on my show. But that works in reverse as well, right? So everybody's perspective should be honored and should be appreciated as well. So I just want to kind of lay that out there, and I think that's important to understand.
Absolutely. I appreciate that, Coach. I wanted to get back to this comment. I don't want everybody, due to the amount of time, but I wanted to shout out Jonathan Huber. Your professional life will never reach its peak with an unhappy household. Even if you move on from that relationship, you will try to fill that hole, which will affect your professional life. With a happy wife to come home to, you will be able to go in your professional life happy and be able to achieve the greatness you can. I think
Same.
I agree a lot with this. You know what I mean? I think it has to do with, and I think this is balance. I think this is nothing more than balance.
That
You
is
know,
a
like
scientific
I think
fact.
that, yeah, when you have a place to go home, when you have peace to go home, you look better, you feel better, you want to do your job, you want to
There
work.
you
You know,
go.
all the everything works together. You know what I mean? But when one of those things are out of whack, it screws up everything. When one person is more selfish than the other one, it ain't gonna work because it's only a matter of time that a person is not gonna. It's only a matter of time that a person is going to stay when they don't feel valued, in a relationship because they feel like they may not have a voice. But that's just me. That's just my 2 cents. So
And as a man, if you're grounded in what you do, you know who you are as a man. You know you ain't changing for nobody. You're already molded. What are you gonna change? You're in your 40s. You ain't changing shit. Let's be real. You already know. You will compromise, make little adjustments. You ain't losing no damn identity. Man, if you lose identity, just ask her for your balls back and put them where they belong. Because you shouldn't be losing your identity for no woman. Especially no woman. I'm telling you, that ain't gonna happen. You supposed to be who you are consistently. So she sees the real you, right? No damn diamond ring is gonna change that. No surprise uh, Christmas present, holiday gift, and all that lovey-dovey shit. That ain't the real. She knows when you give her something out of whack. That's not you. And the first thing she's gonna look at you and go, "What's this for?" Because she know it ain't coming from a place of really being genuine. That's all.
But you
It's
should
not
ever be evolving in your marriage and in your maturity. And as you learn better, you do better. So
exactly.
if you're the same at 21, I mean at 41 as you were when you were 21, there's some problems there.
Yeah,
So
that's what I said. When you're grounded and you know yourself as you're in your 40s. My God, what?
see, but
How do
it's
you
not
not
about
know
you
yourself?
knowing necessarily just you knowing you because you have another partner that she's growing too. So now you think she's supposed to accept what she did at 18, like what you used to like it. She don't like it no more. She liked it because you liked it. So now you got to,
That is, you're growing together in a relationship. How can you
but you're
not?
not growing at the same
Okay,
pace.
but you're going to be having those conversations along the way. It's not like she's going to pop up and surprise you with
So that
it.
means there's work to do. That means there's work.
Yes, incrementally, every day, incrementally, you show her you love her, you do the small things, you help her out, you communicate, you talk incrementally. You don't wait for an occasion to give her flowers. You don't wait for Valentine's Day to show her that lovey-dovey crap. Every day that you change, she changes with you. The day you stop showing her the way she knows that you like to love her is the day you go, wait a minute, what am I doing wrong? I mean, it's called building. It's called building the relationship as you go. She already knows what you do. She already knows what you strive for. She already knows your goals, because your goals are her goals. Once you succeed, she's going to benefit too. It's like, what is so hard about that? If my wife was a lawyer and she made more money than me, I don't give a shit. I'm the one with the dick. When you come home, this is the man right here. Let's get that straight. That's a great job you have, and I love it. Good for you. But just remember who's the man. I wear the pants, you wear the skirt. That will never get twisted, ever. You will never be above me because of the job you do. And that's understood. I'm just saying, like, these are things you grow with and you learn. Honey, I made partner today. Man, I am so proud of you. Let's go out and celebrate. Even if I make $40,000 a year, let's go out and celebrate. Dinner's on me. Even if she makes more than you. That's all I'm saying. You grow. It's you grow together. You communicate these things. It's not hard. It's really, I don't understand why people put communication is so hard. You're supposed to be able to tell your wife dry and cold. No, I don't like that dress. Why? Because it makes you look like a hoe. You want it any clearer? I don't like the cleavage. I'm not supposed to say, well, it's showing a little bit of cleavage that I'm not comfortable. No, I don't like the cleavage, and you ain't walking out with me next looking like that. What's that so hard to do? This is mind-blowing.
Well, Antoine just kind of summed it up, and he talked about communication. So with that being said, folks, we're about to end the show. But before we do, we would like to take a few minutes and express to you our final thoughts before we end the show. We're going to start with none other than Mr. Antoine, the other artist, Christopher. I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you guys shortly.
Listen, man. Listen, if you're in your 40s and you're still trying to discover who you are, cut it off and become a monk, because you ain't gonna. You get yourself into some therapy or something. No, man. I mean, it's a relationship. It's a relationship. It's two people coming together to make it work. One should not have to change who they are. You will never change who you are. You are who you are. A leopard sheds its hair, but it never loses its spot. It's still the leopard. That's all I'm saying. So if you come in together in your relationship, tell her exactly how you are as a man. Let her explain to you exactly how she are as a woman. Let her come together to see how you want this relationship to be, right? See what she's bringing to the table besides sex. Anybody can get that. Really not interested. You don't have anything that I haven't seen before. Let's get over that part. So see what she's bringing into the relationship, and see what you're bringing into the relationship, and that's it. Communicate as you grow, right? If it's the best decision you make for the household and the well-being of the family, really don't care if you like it, honey. Like we said, the best situation, the best thing to do for the family, because this is what we created, right? And if you don't have kids, the best thing you could do for the relationship, okay? Because you know yourself as a man. You are not changing. Get over that. I don't know why people think, and if you're still discovering yourself, you're still trying to figure things out for yourself, don't get into a relationship. Get into when you're happy. You got things going. You're peaceful. I am content. I am not thriving. The only thing I'm doing is achieving my goals. I just want somebody to come along for that. That's it. I don't need you to make me happy. I'm at peace. I'm a happy guy, right? So don't bring chaos into my life. She shouldn't be chaos into my life. Don't bring your issues of your past. That's a therapist's job, not mine, right? And when you see crazy coming, guys, cross the street. The sex may be good, but cross the street, all right? There's always something better out there. Find the best woman you can for the money you make, right? Best woman you can. You want a dime? Just know a dime cost. It costs. You want a humble, nice, good woman? Just know you have to take care of her. That be the man you want to be. Lead. If you're gonna say you want to lead, you want to take care of all the bills. Okay, let's go. That's the end of that.
Um, how can I maintain a strong, healthy relationship over time? I think the best and only way that I can describe how to do it is to understand that the relationship is not solely about you. It's about you and another person trying to work together to build something bigger than just you. Putting the union first would help build a strong and healthy relationship. There's going to be compromises. There are going to be things that you are going to, there are going to be things that you are going to do simply because that's your lady and that's who you want in your life. Just like there are going to be things that she's going to do just because you're her man. It should be two people attempting to work together to build something bigger than themselves. It's not about you. It's not about her. It's about y'all. And I'll just leave it at that.
Whew. Be friends first and foremost, and always be in the learning phase when it comes to your partner. Learn their likes, their dislikes, and learn where you may be able to push their buttons to for them to grow, and not just for you to get your way. Uh, Learn your partner, respect your partner, appreciate your partner, and remember, as Chris said, that they are a reflection of you. So if they look bad, you look bad. So always be in the mindset that I got to make sure that I make them look good, and it'll be a help in your relationship over time.
So, how can I maintain a strong and healthy relationship over time? Self improvement. Keep working on self, realizing that you stumble, realizing that you um, are better than your last effort, and put your best foot forward every day. I know it sounds kind of corny, but it's just the truth. I mean, when you step out of the bed, step out of bed and, try to be a better version of yourself. Um, so, like, one of the things I've been writing with the Accountable Masculinity Manifesto is rule number one: men focus on men. Establish personal accountability standards amongst reasonable men that intend to improve our society. Create solutions for the benefit of our society by only discussing tangible outcomes based on our skills and networks. And that's speaking to a greater philosophy. But if you bring it back down to your relationship and the value that you add to your relationship, it still has transitive value because within your relationship, your job is to protect your partner from themselves sometimes, and also protect them from vulnerable moments, things that they can't see. You got another set of eyes and ears, so you got to listen and you got to trust what they see as well. So a lot of that is an opportunity to see your reflection and your mate come out in their actions based on the choices that they make. Just like you just said, you both represent one another. Within that healthy relationship and how to maintain it over time, you got to do a lot more ego management and avoiding the conflicts between being right versus being righteous. I think if you can keep those simple things um, as personal code to yourself, I think you'll have some healthy outcomes, and I think you'll be a value add to your relationship.
So, in conjunction with everything you just heard, I want to say you need to find a way to connect constantly. Connect in the beginning before you say I do. Connect after you say I do. Connect when she's pregnant. Connect after the baby's born. Connect, throughout the adolescent development of the child. Connect when the child graduates high school and move out the house and go about their business. Connect when you're old and gray. Just keep connecting. I think that's important that we have to keep remembering. I think as long as we keep connecting, then what we do not allow to happen is that we don't allow complacency to set in. never underestimate the power of consistency. I think that's important to drive home at this point because it's the little things. I think a lot of times what we do is we lose sight of the little things, right? So be consistent with doing little things, right? So I mean, if you had a whole cake in front of you, you eat that cake one bite at a time. And so if you have a whole life ahead of you, you live that life one day at a time. So be consistent every day of that life of your life with that person. One of my personal mottos is that every day is another day for me to be a better version of myself. So if I wake up with that in mind, then I also need to look at it from the perspective of every day is a better day for me to be a better partner with the person that I'm with. Find ways to have fun. I said that earlier, and I want to drive that home, man. I think relationships to where you guys continue to find and reestablish your youth within the space of connection. I think those relationships have a great deal of intimacy. The depth and breadth of that relationship is just phenomenal. I think every person, again, I'm going back on what I said. I'm going back to what I said. So every person is on this journey of life to continue to get a better awareness of who they are. On the course of that journey, everyone is searching and trying to discover what their purpose is. And then from their purpose, they move into their calling. And then once you get into calling, now you have the specific mission for you yourself. Well, when you join lives with another person, what you have to understand is what that person's calling is as well. So now not only have I discovered my calling, she discovered her calling, but now what we have to do is discover meaning for the union. Like the union, we came together, but this union is far bigger than what her and I bring to the table. It's not just the kids that we birth into this world who is going to make a splash and make great waves within this ocean of energy that we live in, but it is also us adding value, giving back to our community, helping others, right? Teaching younger couples how to exist in this space and not have to go through the trials and tribulations that we went through. Um, and I think when we look at it from that perspective, that in a nutshell can help us to maintain a strong and healthy relationship over time. You muted, bro.
Back here trying to do too much behind the scenes, man. Um, but I'll say this, I appreciate it. So I'm gonna end with this. And I came up with there were not in any necessary order, but 7 strategies for a successful relationship. And like I said, they're not in any type of order. And I think one of them is that you have to set clear boundaries in a relationship and even before the relationship, and you have to continue to adjust those boundaries as the relationship goes on and as it evolves over time. Two, I think that you have to prioritize time together. Three, I think that you need to be flexible in the relationship. Like things change, people change, there are adjustments, kids come, family members get sick, a lot of different things happen in the relationship. So I think that it's important to be flexible. I think that, we've talked about it for the last 4 weeks. Communication, communication, communication is so important. I think that we have to practice some sort of self-care on a consistent basis. Coach just said something about being consistent. So I think it's very important that we stay consistent with our self-care as well. I think, number 6 is seek support if you need it. And along with seeking support, that also goes into keep learning, reading books, watching podcasts, watching Empowering Perspective, watching Uncle Junior Network, watching Across the Table with Chris, watching Code Talk, Band Code Talk, watching all of Roland's TikTok videos, watching Antoine's videos, all these different things, whatever it is that you find that gives you some sort of level of support or information that you can use in your life to help your marriage, go after it and grab it. And then lastly, but not least, is number 7, and let's just be realistic in a relationship. Like I can't put it any simpler than that, but just be realistic. And that's what I got to say for my final thought. Um, but before we end, I want to give a huge shout out to the chat tonight. The chat was like super lit. We had it going on over there. We appreciate all of the information, every word or every letter that was typed. I really appreciate you guys supporting the show. Everyone who viewed in from home, I really appreciate you. If you didn't miss it, I mean, if you didn't catch all 4 episodes, you can find them on YouTube. I also put them in the description so you can easily click on them. This Saturday, stay tuned, 8 o'clock. It's gonna be a special show out. You can look at it in YouTube, you will see it, blah blah blah. So just be on the lookout for that this Saturday, 8 a.m. And last but not least, next Wednesday, we're gonna have a surprise for you guys. Not gonna tell anybody what it is, only the people. We're gonna talk about it after the show. However, next week there will be a surprise, so stay tuned. Tune in next week, same time, same bat place, 8 o'clock Eastern. Actually, no, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And I think that is it. Anybody got anything before I hit this outro button? All right, folks, we will see y'all next week. We are
Watch
out.
Elevated Dialogue.
And buy his book.